each will be 5 to 7 minutes. How do you know when enough is enough? As I'm listening to Tom give his story of how you and he were hurt, I'm thinking, Tom, enough is enough. Everyone's threshold of enough is different. It's Black Friday 2012. I leave my house at 5 a.m. with my list from my angel that I had picked off the tree at my school. I pulled in the parking lot of Walmart, looked around, and was stunned that there were so few cars. I get my list and I go through Walmart and I strategically find each item that my angel and her brother wanted. I get over to the toy department and I am thrilled when I find the $5 Barbie doll that I'm looking for, and it's the only one left. It was specifically on my angel's list. I had to have it. As I look at my list in the toy department, I remember that I have to go down another aisle to get one more thing. So I leave my buggy here. I proceed down the aisle, get the item, come back. I knew my buggy was there. No, I know it was right here. I began to go up and down the aisles when a sales clerk finally said, "Ma'am, can I help you?" I said, "Well, yes, ma'am. I had a buggy at the end of the aisle, and I know it was right here." And she said, "I am so sorry. I didn't think anyone was going to get that buggy, so I moved it on down and took the items out and put it in the buggy of things I had gathered up." I said, "Where is that buggy?" She pointed me in the direction of where she had taken my items and put them in the buggy. I get there and I'm looking. 4 of my items are there, but the Barbie doll, the 2 CDs, and the Matchbox cars are nowhere to be found. I am not happy. As I proceed toward the front of the store to get another buggy, I stop and take 2 steps back. An elderly woman in an electric buggy was at the end of the aisle. As I peered in her basket, I see my 4 items. I proceeded to tell her, "Ma'am, there's been a misunderstanding. The items you have in your buggy are actually mine." She said, "No, they aren't." I said, "Well, actually they are, because the sales clerk made a mistake and didn't think I was coming." She said, "Well, you shouldn't have left your buggy at the end of the aisle by itself." I said, "Well, I was just going to get one thing. Obviously, I've learned my lesson not to leave your buggy unattended on Black Friday." She politely looked at me and said, "Well, you can have the CDs and the Matchbox cars, but you can't have the Barbie doll." So I stand there momentarily, and this side of me says, "It's okay. Let her have the Barbie." But this side says, "That is your Barbie doll. It's the only one left. You need to pick it up." It's a Barbie doll. You can find another one. Look, she's in an electric buggy. By the time you get to the register with the Barbie doll, she will not be able to catch you. I promise you that conversation took place in my head. So I finally looked at the woman and said, "Enough is enough. Ma'am, you're correct. The Barbie doll you can have. I'll take the other items, but I'm sure I can find one somewhere else." And I did. Later in the day, found another Barbie doll that actually had clothes with it. So I actually ended up with a better deal. But I was so shocked at myself that I had actually thought about taking the Barbie doll and beelining it to the register. I had to really pray about that in Sunday school the next week. But enough was enough. I'm not sure if any of you read the paper or have Sports Illustrated or listen to ESPN like I do, but in the headlines recently are 2 players from the Miami Dolphins football team. And I'm not just talking about the quarterback or the cute little players. I'm talking about two 300-pound linemen that once said enough is enough. He's a 2-year, and we don't know the whole story yet, but he left the team because he had had enough of what he said was bullying, disrespect, racial undertones, and things to him that were not acceptable. Now, to Richie Incognito, it might have just been what we've always done. But for Jonathan Martin, he had had enough. In 1955, Rosa Parks stepped on a bus and took a seat in the front. She was asked to move and even told that she would be arrested if she didn't get up. She said, call the police, because she had had enough. She was tired of being told to move to the back of the bus, for she was the same as the other people sitting in the front, with the exception of the color of her skin. Her threshold was different. She had had enough. In the news, we hear daily of students or young people who are either taking their own lives or taking the lives of someone else because they have had enough. What are we going to do to change that? How can we change that? We can change that by getting involved. You can change that or observe thresholds by paying attention to those around you. In the forest one day, the cougar was moving through the forest. He stopped and stepped up on a wooden log, and everyone knew that the cougar was the baddest and the most important character in the forest. All of a sudden he hears, "Excuse me, could you please step off my log because my ceiling pole is about to break?" "Who are you?" "I'm the cricket that lives in this log, so could you please step off my house?" He said, "Look, do you not know what I could do to you?" He said, "Yes, but I have a cousin that could defend me if need be." He said, "Well, I've got a deal for you. Have your cousin meet me here tomorrow and we'll see what happens. If I win, I'll destroy you and your house. If he wins, and we'll talk about that later." So the next day, the cougar puffed up and shows back up. He said, "Is your cousin here?" The cricket said, "Sure is." He said, "Well, where is he?" About that time, his cousin, the mosquito, comes flying out of the log. He said, "Really?" But about that time, the mosquito started biting his ear, right on that tender part on the inside. He's batting and swarming. And finally he says, "Have him stop." He said, "Have you had enough?" He said, "Yes, enough is enough." The cougar left and never came that way again. Sometimes size doesn't matter, but thresholds do. What is your enough is enough? Fellow Toastmasters,